You piece of garbage.
I got it right. Okay, so.
Did you finish the first one?
No. I got another one so that I wouldn't have to get up to get another one in the middle of our...
Oh, but you're gonna pop the cap in the middle of our... Pop the tab, excuse me. Pop a cap.
Yes, I might pop a cap in the middle of our broadcast.
There's no
if you
guns
keep
in this
going with
house.
this line of-
We live in California. Why are you looking at me like that?
I thought you might have an intro. I don't know. How'd you want to open this up? So Starbucks, apparently.
if I had a nickel for every time I heard that.
Starbucks is closing 16 stores.
No.
16 stores.
That box, as I've said many times before, also, that box is closed to you, sir. We've packaged it. We've sent it out for shipping. It's over. She's done.
16 stores. Can you believe that? And you know why? Toxic waste.
Okay. Did you
know.
take a shit in their bathrooms? Like, did you go to
I
each
have
one
never
of them?
taken a shit in a Starbucks bathroom.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Why? What do I have to gain from that other than diseases? Oh,
You
I
can't
forgot.
get a disease from a toilet seat. You can't use that excuse anymore.
I heard that you could get monkeypox from a toilet seat.
Bullshit.
They said... Well,
They're anaerobic, meaning they cannot exist outside of a human body. It's got to be transmitted directly from one person to another.
which is interesting.
It's bullshit. You can't tell your mom that you ever got, listeners, you can't tell your mom if you ever got, STI from a toilet seat.
It's funny you mention that because they're scaring people with this monkeypox thing. You can get it from towels. You can get it from sheets. You can. I guess if you just, put your infected pus sores all over sheets or something.
They're called pustules.
Same thing. But they're telling you you can get it. Or you can get it. Someone could just touch you on the arm and you can get it. But the science shows it's basically an STD. And they're not being honest about that. And because of that, a lot more people are going to get it.
Well, I think it's similar to herpes, right? Like, you have to have a flare-up and an open sore that touches someone else.
Prolonged physical contact for it to happen. Like, you can't just...
Well, I mean, most sexual encounters I've had recently were not prolonged, so...
It was contact, though, right? It wasn't across a window.
I don't know. It always seemed to end before he entered the room.
That's just like the staircase. But...
Well, the men I've been with recently have been married, so...
Oh, God.
I
can't brand you as a homewrecker. Like, I can only tolerate so much.
Tolerate? Like I'm toxic waste? Don't answer that.
That's why you were banned from 16 Starbucks stores.
You know what? We're going to cut this now.
No, we're not.
I'm not going to have this abuse.
No, this is great. So, you brought me on here. Twice in one day, by the way. I'm a union member, and
I brought no one anywhere.
This violates my union contract, but fuck them, they're not paying my health care. Twice in one day, I didn't get a lunch.
Look, Norma Ray. You can stand on that island right over there and shout union all you want, and I'm not going to do it.
I'm more like Norma Jean.
It is Norma Ray, who was the first person to prostrate herself for unions in the...
To what herself?
In the United States.
That's something that you have to get checked.
She stood up on some type of assembly line and union, union, and like hold up a sign and shit. And Sally Field played her before Sybil.
During Sybil. That was one of Sybil's...
Probably.
That was one of Sybil's personalities.
Probably.
Union worker Norma Ray. I would have supported that. I think that they should reboot Sybil, but they should have Cara Delevingne play herself.
Just have me play her.
That's going to be real upsetting. When you have to change into different wigs between scenes.
But you are Blanche.
Okay, so the name of this Trader Joe's seltzer, and it's what... You're looking at me like I've lost the plot completely.
Because you just totally switched topics.
Well, I got bored with Norma Ray. So, the name of this seltzer that you can purchase...
If she had a husband, I'm sure he said the same thing.
That's why she wanted a union. She needed some kind of benefits. The name of this seltzer is Mighty Swell. It's out of Austin, Texas. Just like that really bad Trader Joe's vodka, but this is good.
Why are you promoting them?
Because they're never going to pay me. But for $4.99, they don't have to. $4.99 for 12, which is more than you can say. That's cheaper than Old English. The can says, "We pursue lively,
I thought you were
refreshing."
going to say that's cheaper than me.
You are cutting into my description. This is a live read. This is a promo. This is an ad. They pay nothing for this. In fact, we're going to have to pay them for this. So we're going to get a copyright strike. We pursue lively, refreshing flavors made with natural ingredients. Every sip is a rally cry to find and celebrate good moments, good vibe moments, whether wild or waveless. So go ahead, just chill and enjoy.
All I hear is Ilhan Omar. Her rally.
I can't believe she got booed. But I have to go through this sentence again. I just want to deconstruct this real quick, and then we can get to whatever the hell you wanted to talk about.
God.
Every sip is a rally cry to find and celebrate good vibe moments, whether wild or waveless. What does that mean? None of those words are in the Bible.
Seriously, though, we are not sponsored by these people. As he pops open another one. We are not ASMR.
Seltzer.
What is... like you...
Have you ever seen the one of Gemma from Celebrity Big Brother UK doing the Prosecco ASMR? It's a work of art.
I think I have because I watched that season live, but
Yeah. With Tiffany Pollard?
yes.
What do you mean yes? You said that in such a dismissive tone.
David's dead. What?
The bigger thing there was that you had David Bowie's ex-wife. What's her name? With the A? Angie Bowie, looking like hell.
Looking like you.
With her pigtails.
Trouncing
Trouncing around.
with her big tits.
No, not anymore. Trouncing around the set like she's she just did 10 lines of coke.
Trouncing around the set like you.
That was the saddest part of that season. But yeah, David Guest died not long after that. He looked like he died before it. I mean, that was bad. Liza
Killed him.
Killed him.
And Ryan doesn't listen to this podcast, so he won't kill me for saying that.
Liza probably killed him. And you know what? Good for her. Someone had to pay for that wedding.
Now we know why she was in the wheelchair.
David Gash? Anyway, we wanted to talk about... What's it called? The discharge?
We wanted to talk about our field trip today, or we wanted to talk
Oh,
about...
yeah, let's talk about... No, let's
No,
talk about...
let's not talk about...
Yeah, let's talk about... So we went to TJ Maxx and Ross, which was like a special treat. Because we just got to go through and cause absolute mayhem for 3 hours, which is all I've ever wanted.
And if you follow Wyatt on Twitter, you can see all of
Instagram.
his shenanigans. I'm
Instagram.
sorry, on Instagram.
At Wyatt Vision on Instagram.
Oh, Jesus. Don't plug your shit.
I will plug whatever I want on this show.
He's in the other room.
We decided to explore, go through a new... Shut up. We decided to explore a new shopping center.
New to you.
I'm sorry. I had not previously marketplaced in Tustin. But here we are.
And we almost didn't make it back.
So the Tustin Marketplace is a master planned shopping center like many of you will find, but it's designed to look like Mexico. So lots of bright colors and no exits. So literally, it took us 20 minutes to get out of the Tustin Marketplace because we didn't realize there's only one driveway in and one driveway out per square mile. So we got stuck somewhere between the Sephora and the Lens Crafters trying to get the hell out of there.
We had lunch.
Well, let's talk about that story. We
The
go
lunch?
We go to Sprouts. Sprouts has $4.99 sandwiches.
If you call me out about my lunch order,
I will. Sprouts has $4.99 sandwiches. They're really good sandwiches.
Again,
Sprouts,
not
it's fresh.
sponsored.
None of the brands I'm talking about are sponsored. That's sad. We need sponsors so we can talk about their crappy shit. But
And
Sprouts
keep-
is good.
And keep drinking while we're talking about it. Both coffee and...
Sprouts, the fresh maker.
You need to learn their slogans first.
So we go to Sprouts.
Sprouts will make it sprout. I don't know. What is
What's
their...
wrong with you?
I don't know. What's their slogan?
They don't have a slogan. Oh, it's called Sprouts Fresh Market.
Okay.
That took a $10 million advertising campaign to get down. I've never seen a Sprouts commercial. Have you?
Yes. On
Really?
YouTube, maybe?
Really?
Not on television.
I've never seen a Sprouts commercial.
I'm pretty sure I have on YouTube.
So they're like...
But I watch a lot of cooking shows, so...
Oh, that would make sense. But they have $4.99 sandwiches, deli sandwiches.
Yes.
And,
And I did not know that until today.
and it's a great deal because lots of stores, it's like $7 to $10, maybe more, $12, $13, and they're pre-made. These are fresh made and good, and they use boar's head meat, which
Yeah.
is it's the best you can get.
Meat and cheese.
Yes. Cheese is $1 extra. So I got...
Apparently not.
Really?
I had cheese and avocado on mine, and mine was only $1 extra.
Well, yours was a problem, but we'll get to that in a second. So it's like normal sandwiches, like turkey, ham, roast beef, all that. So I get my nice little turkey
They did not
sandwich.
have roast beef on that.
Roast beef was on that
It was not on that
I've
list.
seen it on there before.
Well, it was not on that list. There were 5 sandwiches on that list. One was turkey.
Ham.
One was ham. One was egg salad. One was tuna salad. And one was chicken salad.
Okay. That's the problem. I get a turkey sandwich like an American. She's the one making it bad for him, and it's you. You're the one who made it bad for him. You got chicken salad and you ground the Sprouts deli counter to a halt. People came afterwards, they were dissuaded and turned away. The woman had to go 3 times into the store to find where chicken salad even was.
No, guess whose fault that was?
You.
I don't know what she went out for the 3rd time for, honestly. The first time she went out for the chicken salad, she came back with it.
Yeah.
The second time she went out to get an avocado because I asked for
because
avocado
it just
on
had
it.
to be difficult.
And she came back. The 3rd time she went out, she came back with nothing. And
She
I'm
went
like,
out to
what
smoke a
else-
cigarette
what
because she
else
was tired of all the shit that you put her through.
What the hell else are you gonna put on my damn sandwich?
One of the
bitch?
women in the deli quit in the middle of
She
them
didn't
making her
quit.
sandwich. She walked it. She had the apron in hand, and she was
Hers.
laughing.
Shift was over.
And yeah, I don't. You took so long. You picked such a difficult sandwich. They had to have a shift change in between. By the time your sandwich was ready, mine was room temperature,
Well,
and we got our
whose
sandwich.
fault was that?
And we had our lovely Ralph's
Ralph's.
Sprouts sandwiches at the Tustin Marketplace, where Tustin goes to market. We sat in a little outdoor seating, which was not movable. It was glued to the ground.
Bolted, yeah.
So we had to sit about 20 miles away from the table looking at each other.
It is California.
Well,
People steal shit.
like my gas cap.
Oh, God.
Someone stole the gas cap on my vehicle. I went to the gas station today and it was gone. And I don't know if I have to get a locking one. I had to order a new one. It was $50.
Wah, wah, wah. The sandwich was delicious.
The sandwich was good, and then we went.
It was a little dry, but it was delicious.
How can chicken salad be dry?
The chicken salad was dry, and I asked for mayonnaise extra on it, and she did not put
She
enough.
was not going to make a 4th trip for you.
And the piece of cheese that apparently I was supposedly paid extra for was like thinner than your dick. So I don't know, like it was non-existent. So I don't know what was that. I don't know what that was, but
So
anyway,
got your fucking sandwich.
then we went to TJ Maxx,
Yes.
which is the bougie of
Yep.
Of the
TJ
two
Maxx,
places we went.
Marshalls, Ross. TJ Maxx is the nicest. Although TJ Maxx and Marshalls are the same company.
Marshalls and Home Goods are.
And Home Goods. It's the TJX brand. So TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Home Goods are the same company.
Right.
Ross is on its own.
As we saw.
As we saw. So we went to TJ Maxx and
There was gay everything.
oh my gosh. So
Gay
all
toothbrushes.
There were gay toothbrushes, gay dog outfits, gay dog beds.
And I'm sorry. Mentos makes body wash.
The Mentos body wash.
It was the only bottle that was there, and it was in the clearance rack, so apparently they probably discontinued it. But who came up with that marketing plan?
They discontinued that and half the customers there. We were walking through a clearance aisle of life, and it was sad. Then we walked through all the prepared foods, all the little salts and oils and shit like that was all packaged about 4 years ago.
And macaroons?
There were macaroons, TJ Maxaroons.
I don't trust a macaroon that's a day old, much less 5 months old,
Years.
sitting on the TJ Maxx shelf.
That stuff was probably pre-COVID.
Oh, Jesus.
The macaroons were made in late 2019.
Which means they aren't real macaroons, because you have to have, like, whipped egg whites and shit in there. Like, there's no way.
They probably did that and then sprayed them with some kind of,
There's no way.
epoxy. I don't know.
There's no way.
You don't know that.
It's some kind of fake bullshit. They probably use, like, vegan. Because
Vacaroons?
the vegan egg white stuff, have you ever seen it?
No.
They
Vegan
still
egg white?
They still box it in something that looks like it comes from the 70s. It's called Egg Replacer.
What?
And yeah, it's shelf stable. Like it looks like powdered milk.
I don't trust anything that's shelf stable. I genuinely don't, unless it's like chicken broth.
Well, I'm not shelf stable, so you probably trust me.
You're not stable at all.
They still sell it in this box.
Wow.
And it looks like it's from the 1960s. For those of you who are listening to this, look up Ener, ENER -G Foods Egg Replacer. And you will see what box I'm describing. It looks like it's from the 60s or 70s, and they have not updated their packaging in 60 years.
That's creepy.
50 to 60 years.
Hold on a second. I just received breaking news on the podcast. Breaking news on the Starbucks front
From
a friend of mine. They sent, we're talking about Starbucks closing locations.
on a previous episode, yes.
Yes. So Starbucks is closing 16 locations due to homelessness and violence and other things like that the store is looting, damage.
Listen to the previous episode.
Yes. One of the ones in Los Angeles, the name has been released, and it was the one I predicted when we talked about it. Gay Starbucks in West Hollywood. Closed July 31st.
Really?
They are shutting the one on Santa Monica and Westmount is being shut down. This is from WeHoville.
But it looked so nice.
I was in there every single day.
On a previous podcast, you talked
Yes.
about Leslie Jordan, yes.
Yes, that's
But-
the one.
Yes, but I was in, remember, I told you, I was in there like the Friday of Pride weekend.
Yes.
They had all their balloons. Everything was very nice. There was no strange people in there. They had the bathrooms roped off.
Inability to keep employees safe. Because I was in... Now, here's it. Back in 20...
But West Hollywood is safer than regular Los Angeles.
Highest property crime in the whole LA area is West Hollywood. But, and the homeless... So here's what happened. The store closed early Monday for a staff meeting with the district manager who told all the staff the store would close July 31st and cited the inability to keep employees safe. Starbucks is closing this and other stores. Now, on top of that, they said homelessness has been a huge problem at the Westmont location, which when I was there, they had a really good manager, this lovely gay guy, older, kind of bearish, but super sweet.
You mean butt super sweet?
He wasn't gruff or anything. It was this nice...
As if bearish people can't be super sweet. Hello, you're talking to one.
He used to keep a good eye on that Starbucks. And when the people he knew would be a problem come in, he would divert them. When he got transferred to a different location, that place went to hell. And then, within a few weeks from that, a manager got stabbed by a homeless person. Now, this was 6-7 years ago. It has only gotten worse in that period of time. To the point where the restrooms had a passcode, and still people were getting in and just destroying them. And I stopped going there after that Leslie Jordan incident, and one other thing where someone threw a chair. I was like, I'm done. This place is a mess. Like,
So then I wonder if see, when I went there to get right before my haircut, it was the Friday, like late Friday afternoon of Pride weekend, right? So I assumed, and maybe this was a bad assumption, I assumed that they had the bathrooms roped off and someone guarding the bathrooms, like a paid security guard, by the way, guarding the bathrooms because of Pride. I thought it was just for that weekend. Maybe that's something they did all the time. Because the guy had to make sure that you had bought a beverage before you could enter the restroom. Which, by the way, as we talked about, that was not their policy previously.
right.
But at that location, it was their policy, apparently, because they would not let you into the bathroom unless you passed muster of the security guard that was standing there.
Right.
But again, I thought that was just for Pride weekend. And I didn't think that was a...
It was the
long-standing
beginning
rule.
of the end. It was the beginning of the end.
Oh,
Well,
Jesus.
I mean, I spent...
Well, the gays are going to revolt.
So I probably spent at least 2 years of my life working out of that Starbucks that's closing.
Working.
Yes, I bring my laptop and I would work.
How many blowjobs did you give in the bathroom?
None. There was a passcode. But that was like the community meeting space. And because you couldn't go to the library because there was too many homeless people. That was always the thing.
The West Hollywood Library?
Had way too many homeless people at the time.
It
So
looks
was like,
nice from the outside.
oh, just go to... Everything looks nice from the outside in West Hollywood. It's when you get inside that's rotten and disgusting.
Like the people.
I remember one morning I was there, and the same group is always there, and one of them said, guess what happened across the street at 24 Hour Fitness? I was like, well, no, what happened? They're like, they had an incident last night. I'm like, what do you mean incident? Someone died in the sauna. And they had to... But here's the thing. They kept it open. They just put caution tape over the sauna room, wheeled the bastard out, and kept staying open for business.
Yeah, so we went to TJ Maxx and Ross, and we found some interesting things. And I don't know how we got derailed from that, but I stopped him from buying a...
Whoa, hold on a second. We went to TJ Maxx, and TJ Maxx is fine. And we didn't get anything there, did we? Oh, I got the California wall art, and I got a fabric shaver, which I'm super excited about.
I use wall art with air quotes, but yes.
Then we went to Ross, which I don't know if you've ever been to a clean Ross. Ross is a disaster. And you can tell the difference between TJ Maxx and Ross because Ross has a loss prevention officer and TJ Maxx does not.
Well, okay, but TJ Maxx had more interesting... Like, Ross was just trash.
TJ Maxx is cohesive. Ross is
TJ
like...
TJ Maxx had interesting items, like the chainsaw for children. And the bear toy that looked like it was dying of AIDS.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, so Ross looked like it was trashed and picked over and unfortunate.
But I still got a windshield cover for my car
Yes.
for $4.99.
And you met a Marjorie Taylor Greene lookalike.
There was a Marjorie Taylor Greene lookalike that I was measuring windshield coverings with. There are millions of Marjorie Taylor Greene lookalikes across this country.
Especially in Orange County.
They are women in their 40s or 50s, blonde, who do some kind of fitness program.
And who don't wear makeup.
No makeup. No makeup.
And look a little bit like leather.
Yes, but do some kind of fitness program, are unusually fit for their age, like uncomfortably. And you know that they have one ironic wine glass somewhere in their possession. Well,
Maybe two.
maybe two.
I have to say, I'm going to call out someone that I love.
Oh, God.
Rachel Zoe.
Oh,
How
that's
dare
sellout.
you? How dare you make plastic wine glasses?
That old whore. You know her real name is Rachel Rosenzweig. Would you buy Rachel Rosenzweig wine glasses? No. So we went to Ross. Ross is a mess. It's called Ross Dress for Mess. Ross Mess for Less.
That would be an apt name.
Ross Mess for Less. It is. And then we came home. So it was a fun day. It was a productive day.
Yeah, I don't think they had anything at Ross that was even worth snickering at.
Ross had the tote.
Oh.
Do you want to tell them what the tote said?
No, because we did buy it. Oh, and Ross had the wine glass thing.
Ross had... So what did you want to buy at Ross?
Okay. As anyone who knows me knows, I enjoy an alcoholic beverage. In fact, I wanted to buy the Sharpie replacements that said they had alcohol in them, just so I could drink the alcohol.
As emergency, in case we ever intervene.
Just in case. So I enjoy an alcoholic beverage from time to time.
God.
And they had a very utilitarian and Mitchell-friendly, thing that, if our listeners want to, buy me a Christmas gift and send it, I would not be opposed. It was basically a Bluetooth speaker that attached to your shower wall that also held your wine glass. So you could drink wine and cry and listen to Lana Del Rey in the shower all at the same time.
That is
And it would
awful.
be the best gift in the world. It would be my life for at least 3 hours a day.
I did not post the most important thing that we saw there today, which I have to go back and buy.
He is completely railroading over my story here. Yeah. Because he had a very visceral reaction to my purchase that I wanted to make.
I thought it was stupid, but there was a gigantic beach tote / hamper, and printed on the side it said, "Sorting out life, one load at a time."
And I told him...
He said, "Give me
he
your
was
keys,
not
I'll
allowed-
go wait in the car," so that he could steal my vehicle.
I told him he couldn't buy his stupid tote
I will.
if I couldn't buy my wine speaker.
Fine, we'll get both of them.
And the wine speaker was cheaper than the tote, I'll have you know.
Yeah, so are its owners.
Excuse you?
If you have to buy a suction cup item for a bathtub that can hold a glass of wine and play sad music, it's over at that point.
That's a very specific laundry list of items that means it's over.
It's a very specific laundry list of items that arrives you at that point.
It's the perfect item for me. Sensitive, alcoholic leaning. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't go to meetings. Sensitive, drunk, Lana Del Rey stan, alcoholic.
What are we going to do
Sad
without gay
person.
Starbucks?
We don't live there anymore.
That place is an institution. That is our Stonewall. Can we go riot?
Have fun.
Like, they should be...
I'll sign my name on a brick and you can throw it.
Can I throw it back at you? Okay, so we have to talk about...
I made him listen to a podcast because it pissed
discharge.
me off. So
The Piss Snatch.
the Dispatch is a self-described conservative publication / podcast entity, a journalistic entity. I do not feel that they are actually conservative because they're run by the likes of David French and Stephen Hayes.
Wow.
And
Two of the worst people you could have found.
so in this particular episode that I made him listen to because it upset me. It upset me for reasons that we will get into in just a minute. Stephen Hayes was interviewing Tim Meadows, is that his name?
His
Tim
name-
Miller.
Tim Miller.
Sorry, Tim Miller. Yeah.
Wasn't Tim Meadows the guy?
Yes,
from
yes,
SNL?
yes. The guy from SNL and Mean Girls. Sorry, Tim Miller, who is a gay self-identified conservative. I would not label him as that, but self-identified gay conservative. I would say gay center leftist, maybe.
Now I have
at
to
best.
clarify. I don't know who he is.
He wrote a book. And I don't even remember the title because it had like 30 words in it. So I can't plug it if I wanted to. But he wrote a book recently, and Stephen Hayes was interviewing him about the book and about the things in the book. He is the one who is apparently the CEO or editor-in-chief of The Bulwark, which Wyatt has mentioned several times, which I didn't know actually existed, and I thought he was just pulling out of his ass.
Why
as
would it
normal.
make something like that up?
I don't know, because you're
I'm not
a
even
drama queen and like make shit up all the time. I don't know.
When have I ever made shit up?
10 minutes ago?
What did I say?
How many times have we had to preface allegedly and then you say whatever
That was
bullshit you want to
once
say?
talking about Chasen's alleged pill habit.
Anyway, we listened to this. I listened to this podcast. It pissed me off because he was targeting people who were doing the jobs that I'm doing, and
He basically, just
I wanted him to listen to it so we could talk about it.
he said horrible
organically.
things about any conservative working in media.
And not only media. He said horrible things about any conservative working in politics.
All you need to know is that he's the only conservative, which I had to look up online. I don't know who he is. I had to look up what he's done. He's never worked for a winning campaign. He worked for John McCain, Mitt Romney, Jeb Bush, and John Huntsman. Not one campaign.
The one campaign
won.
that he worked for that won was the one he talked about at the very beginning of the podcast, which was the governor of Colorado.
In 1998?
Yeah.
That's how far back you have to stretch. That's like Ed Roland still.
That was the beginning of his career.
But that's like Ed Roland still dining out on the fact that he helped Reagan for 20 minutes or something. Like at a certain point, you have to update your resume. Like
Right.
What else have you done since then? There is not a single John Huntsman campaign alumni who can cite that as a positive source.
But he basically took the elitist viewpoint of anyone who is on the right doesn't like real journalism. They like propaganda. And he likened it to giving them heroin rather than giving them, a balanced meal like spinach and meat and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Without citing a single thing, by the way.
So he said that the Atlantic and the New Yorker are center-left publications, and those are the things that are giving people meat and potatoes rather than heroin. Whereas Breitbart and the Daily Wire, or the Daily Caller, or both, are giving people heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And basically suggesting that is what's causing the strife in America. Is this conservative media is striking a chord of victimization in conservative people. So I had a big problem with that as someone who is a writer and works in, and considers myself, at least at the first part of my career, as being a journalist, because I was uncredited in name for all the news articles I was writing. But I would do a lot of research for those news articles. And for him to say that all of that stuff was basically propaganda is just elitist and disingenuous. I was very angry. Like he was calling out people like me for checking my morals at the door and questioning my integrity, when in reality, the reason I took this position, the reason I'm going in this vein of work, is because I didn't want to question my morals and check my integrity at the door, because I didn't want to be a professor. I didn't want to work in the indoctrination camp that is the university anymore. So he's basically, what struck a nerve in me is he was basically accusing me of the thing that I was trying to avoid, in making this career change. And by the way, to know, this has not been easy in the slightest for me.
Right.
Because I could have gotten my degree and walked into a professor, well, to at least an adjunct professor or some other university job, at least in an instructorship. I could have walked easily into something like that, but I didn't even look for those jobs and I didn't apply for those jobs because I didn't want them. And I stuck to my guns with what I'm doing now, and it's finally starting to pay off. So I've had my hardships because of the choices that I've made, and for him to say, that to question my integrity and to question my morals, when that's exactly the opposite of what I was trying to do.
But what authority does he have to do that? This is somebody who works for a political action committee and claims that, I didn't believe what they said the entire time, but I still collected the check, which is the lowest form of whatever anybody does. At least believe in something rather than nothing. And then he went on to, again, losing campaign. Then he became the Republican correspondent on Pod Save America. So that goes to show who was going to cash out for a check. And now he started the coalition of Republicans against Trump, and now he no longer considers himself a Republican. What morality is there in that? What does it mean when you're somebody who's completely meaningless and you try to gain some kind of meaningful quality through, I stood astride, or I stood against the river and I yelled stop, when you have done nothing but either A, create the river, B, contribute to the river, and C, have meaningless contributions on both sides to the point where it doesn't even matter anymore. Like, this is not somebody who has any kind of impact whatsoever. I didn't even know who this person was, and I'm a bigger political nerd than anybody until tonight.
But you knew what the Bulwark was, apparently.
I knew what the Bulwark was because I knew, and I thought it was a joke, that former Weekly Standard and National Review people were branching off and creating their own ridiculous offspin.
As a stupid 20-something, I registered as a libertarian because of my principles. I went, I don't like the Democrats, I don't like the Republicans. Let's try and build a third-party option.
Right.
I was stupid enough to think that was possible, and I was duped into thinking that was possible.
At least you admit it.
For a few years, and I just mean like a few years, like 2 to 3 years, I was fighting for that cause. And then immediately, as soon as the left took a sharp left turn and went so far off the deep end, and the right started to come, towards a libertarian-esque ideals, I started to go, well, what am I doing here? I certainly don't want to go with them. The libertarians are defunct now. Like, they really, their last hope, their last bastion of hope was Gary Johnson, who wasn't that big of a bastion of hope to begin with, but he was something.
At least he was something.
He was loved.
At least he was a governor.
And at least he was loved by a lot of people.
Right.
He was the last person that actually had a shot at anything, and he's basically now retired and said, fuck you all.
Can't blame him.
So I had to go back towards the Republicans, and I'm like, well, they've come more towards me than I have towards them, so I'm fine with this. So we're now in a point where, we do live in a country and in a society where you have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
There's no other option. You're either a Republican or a Democrat, and you have to vote for that. And you have to vote for those people who toe those party lines. Mm-hmm. So are you going to vote for these people who are becoming more and more socialist and communist and more radical and more...
Well, this guy,
like there is no fucking label to anything.
well,
like
this guy
language
who
doesn't
looks
mean
like
anything.
he looks like a stand-in for It the Clown, went in and supported Doug Jones in Alabama so that Jeff Sessions could not get elected. So that's your principle. Jeff Sessions is one of the most conservative, consistent members of Congress, and also as a cabinet member. And he was like, "No, I'm going
And
to
who
support a
had his
Democrat."
own problems with Trump, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you support someone who, stood up against Trump?
Because he took a principled stand to support Doug Jones. So that's why it's like these people, they just want some kind of relevancy being on this fake knife's edge of, you don't know where I could go. I could fall on this side. I could fall on this side. But it's going to be principled. And I'm going to say it's principled. And I'm going to say that you're not principled for actually believing in something. Even though these people, they would take a check. They're like a hooker. That's not true. And that's not fair. And I have to apologize because I went a little bit too far. At least hookers have honor.
What'd you call me? No. As much as I don't want to tell you this as our listeners, I kind of want you to go listen to this and see if you have the same sort of at least semi-visceral reaction that I did. Because it is very elitist and it is very... You may not have the same reaction because, some of you, may not feel the same way I do and are not writers or whatever. But you still would feel torn down because he's basically saying that people who follow the Trump ideology, or at least the more conservative ideology as it is today in this country, we're sellouts and we have no integrity.
Right.
And to say that we all live off of this, heroin that is memes and propaganda and don't actually like real journalism, like that's a bridge too far. And so if you want to, the Dispatch podcast, Goodbye Red Brick Road is the episode that I am referencing. And yeah, it's this interview with this guy, Tim Miller, and it's
rare that you learn who somebody is.
I made Wyatt listen to it because he hates every time that I bring this up. But it was one thing that I knew we could have a really good discussion about, and I wanted him to at least listen to like 30 minutes of it because it was just too much.
Well, it's offensive the way that they talk about people on the right because they're basically like, yeah, you rubes. This whole time I wrote things, that helped you and supported your candidates, and now I know that you're all just morally bankrupt when they're the ones who just flit between different campaigns and they're the morally bankrupt ones. Nobody I know on the right has materially changed how they see things or what their morals are, whereas this person who has none seems to just find a home wherever the check clears. And that's kind of sad in its own way, We always joked about the people after Trump, where after 2020 they'd be like, why I'm leaving the right things, because they were the same people who a few years earlier were, why I'm leaving the left. But the people who really were the worst were the ones who did the whole, why I'm leaving the right things after Trump, as if Trump was the issue, and yet decide to support candidates that are in no way conservative or compassionate or anything like that, just because they think it makes them look cool.
But for him to talk about rationalizing away and compartmentalizing away, writing a press release about whatever stance on gay marriage the Republican Party had in the early 2000s, to have him say that he looks back on that now and cringes and feels dirty for that, and I do believe I'm quoting. He used the word dirty, if you recall, Wyatt.
Yes.
For him to say that he felt dirty when, out of his own mouth, neither party supported gay marriage at that time.
Right.
Neither party.
Including the fact that there were candidates who were outwardly outspoken against it, like Obama, like Hillary.
And Joe Biden.
And Biden.
So for him to say that he felt dirty writing a press release for the Republican Party that was a little bit more toned down, in essence, he did a service to the Republican Party by helping them tone it down in its rhetoric about gay marriage, being a gay man on the Republican side. For him to say that he feels dirty thinking back on that now is just astonishing to me. Like,
the only
at that
thing
time, no one was okay with it, or at least no one was willing to admit verbally in front of the public that they were okay with it.
The only thing he should feel dirty about is supporting and working with campaigns that did not work and were designed to fail, like the Jeb campaign, like the Huntsman campaign. Like, that's where you should feel dirty. That's where you're just going in and just, doing whatever it takes to collect a check.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right.
At least with McCain and Romney, there was the idea that they're the candidate that could potentially win. There was some kind of something there. Like, people can be forgiven for working for them.
But you make a good point, because he said in the podcast, and now I'm realizing, how stupid can you be?
Right.
You're working for the Jeb Bush campaign, knowing that it's not going anywhere, knowing that it's not going to actually materialize into anything, and you cashed in favors, as he said on the podcast episode. You cashed in favors to get an article in Breitbart.
That's
for
why.
Jeb Bush. Why would you cash in favors for that? Like,
that's why either
hold
the favors,
those favors.
No one's that stupid in politics. Either the favors weren't that good to begin with, and he's pretending like he's this consummate insider that was working there. And I talked to Matt Boyle or something. And I got this published, but it's okay. Even better didn't know. Or he is just completely useless, and he got one article published because Jeb Bush did something stupid, or maybe potentially did something right, and they decided to cover it like they would any other media.
Please clap.
Oh, God. Remember when Jeb Bush got locked out of his car and he had to go into a CVS to use the store phone to call for... that could have been our president.
Never. It never
Trump
would have, and it never will.
If Trump didn't run, that would have been their nominee.
You really think so? I don't.
Who
I
else
don't
would have
want to.
been in?
I don't want to talk about it.
But do you think Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio would have beat that?
I don't know. I don't want to open the box. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm opening the box.
Because that is...
That's right. We would have had a Carly Fiorina presidency. Think of what that would have brought us.
I would have been happier with that.
Look at that face. Look at that face.
I would have been happier with that.
Trump saved us from a Republican field.
At least she had a good
people.
soundbite in one of those. At least she had a good and memorable soundbite in one of those in one of those debates.
Which one?
God, I don't remember what the topic was.
That's how memorable it was?
Well, no, but Jeb Bush had none.
Oh, no, he had nothing.
Like, she had one that went viral, and everyone was like, oh, yeah, like, and it pushed her ahead in the polls, like, at least for a time being. Jeb Bush was dead on arrival. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't think he ever would have been a nominee because people were so sick of the Bush legacy and the Bush, what's the word I'm looking for? Dynasty.
Oh, God.
I mean, frankly, that's why Hillary didn't win, is because she was part of, her name and everything. It was part of a dynasty.
The Hillary dynasty?
Well, no, the Clinton, people were like, I don't want another Clinton. She had her own problems, yes, but they didn't want another Clinton who had blood on her hands, literally.
She uses as moisturizer. I'm sorry. I know that you've beaten this, and I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad that we got to listen to it, because that raises an important point about these people who have no shame in what they do in politics. Oh, Jesus, you finished that glass. But I have to raise something here about the Starbucks. So here's the locations that are closing. Breaking news.
Oh, you got all of them now?
I got the list. Santa Monica and Westmount, that's the West Hollywood one. First in Los Angeles inside the DoubleTree Hotel, that's downtown. Second in San Pedro, that's downtown. So those are the two major Starbucks in downtown, closed. And that services the offices. Makes sense. But the offices, the hotels. Yes. No, if you stay in the hotel, you can't go to the Starbucks now.
No, I understand that. It's an imposition for all of those people. But downtown is one of the worst places in Los Angeles.
Next, Hollywood and Vine closed. That I've been to that one many times. That's the closest one to my apartment. closed. Right by the Pantages.
Okay.
Closed. Hollywood and Western, the second closest one to my apartment, closed. So that's the one when you go right on the other side of the freeway. It's in a shopping center there with the Ralphs. That one's closed. And that one had problems. So those are the two that I had gone to in the past few years when I didn't go to my usual one, which I don't want to list because I'm afraid they're going to close it. Those are the two I went to because they were the closest to where I live. Both closed. And then
so that's 4.
That's five, including Santa Monica Westmount. The Santa Monica Pier location on the Oceanfront Walk closed. But all of these
it's not the 2 that I normally go to.
But these are
not the 3 that I normally go to.
Right. But these are the busiest Starbucks locations in Los Angeles. Those see the most foot traffic every day, except for the one that's at Hollywood, off of Hollywood and Highland. But you know how much pressure this is going to put on those? Because there is no Starbucks between Hollywood and Highland and Los Feliz. That covers an area with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of tourists and people.
The one on La Brea near San Vicente, the one that I have gone to many times to work and have gone many times when I was on my way to, a certain job that I just left. Their drive-through line was always long.
Yeah.
It's
always the one on Highland, impossible to get into.
Every moment they were open, they had 10 to 15 people in that fucking line.
So there's no Starbucks from Beverly Hills to Hollywood, and then they close the Hollywood one, so that whole stretch in the city is going to have nothing. But anyway, that's something they're going to have to deal with.
Good night. Thank you. Fuck you all.